Samia, and this is a PowerPoint that I created about my career journey and how I found myself to pursue a career in counseling and the bumps in the road that have led me to this point right now. My family is very close-knit, and I come from a mixed family. So my mom is from Yemen and my dad is from Somalia. He passed away when I was 1 year old due to diabetes, and I never really got to spend that much time with my dad and kind of develop a sense of like what he wanted me to become later on in life. I just never had that opportunity. But throughout many stories that my mom has told me about him and how they met, I know that my father was a sailor and in Somalia, and he would travel along the coastlines, and he very much loved doing his job because it allowed him to interact with people. It allowed him to bring in fresh fish, and he loved to be out on the water. And he thoroughly enjoyed the ability to not be stuck at one place or live in one city for a very long time. And so he found being a sailor to be very appealing. He spent time traveling from Somalia, like the different cities within it. And he would go to other countries within Africa. He traveled to Ethiopia many times, and he traveled to Yemen, and that's where he met my mother. My mother and him, my mother was very young at that time. She was 18 years old and had recently come out from a marriage that didn't work out, and so she didn't really know much about career. Her school career was cut short. She didn't really get to finish high school, and back then people saw that women should be more focused on being at home and taking care of their families, and not so much being out there in the world and working hard to bring food to the table. They saw that they were more needed at home, being the nurturers and the carers, and it was just more of a respectful role for them, so that they were the leaders within their household when the husbands were gone, but more so like that was just their job. And so my dad, before he married my mom, was previously married, and my stepmom, well, I don't know really what to call it in English, but he had 3 other kids with her before marrying my mom, and so I call her my stepmom just because, but I don't really know how to say that in English. Either way, she was different in her mindset. She always wanted to be in the field and wanted to work and earn money, even though that was very taboo at the time, unless the woman had to, because she didn't have any other ways of supporting her family because she didn't have a husband, or she lost her husband, or there was no family members left to help support or care for her. She wasn't really, women weren't really seen out in the field working that much. So she was a little bit of an outlier, and she pursued a career in poetry writing, and so that was her thing. And tried to sell groceries at a small store that her family owned. But that that also helped my mom realize that she wanted to be more than a stay-at-home mom. So my mom tried to she started working with her at the store, and so my mom's career just started at that point. But sooner than later, my mom got pregnant with my older brother, and she stopped working, and then had me 9 years later, and then a year later, my father passed away. So then my mother went from being a stay-at-home mom for 10 some years to now having to care for 2 young children and their needs, and have to bring food to the table because her husband was no longer able to do so. And so my mom found herself having to look for jobs, any jobs that she could find, just to make ends meet. And she wasn't in her comfort zone. At that time, I was born in Ethiopia, specifically Addis Ababa, right here. And my mom was not that familiar with the language, so that language was a barrier, so that was a very hard thing. But watching my mom struggle, my brother would always tell me that, like, she worked very hard, and that, like, it was amazing to see the passion that my mom had and the drive that she had, no matter what job it was that she was doing. It didn't really matter what the job was, but it was the fact that it helped her bring food to the table and make ends meet, and she was proud of herself. And that was later on also instilled in me when I was able to really understand much more about what was needed in terms of a career path, growth, and like education, and what it meant to go to work. So after leaving Addis Ababa at the age of 2 years, when I was 2 years something, because my mom could no longer take she could no longer take how everything reminded her of my father, and she just felt like she needed a change of scenery. She moved us to Nairobi. Here's a picture of me and my cousin getting our like pictures taken. I really did not like photos, but so at that time, again, my mom moved there, and she also took 3 of my cousins with her who had lost both of their parents. So my mom was now raising 5 kids on her own. But she knew that in Nairobi, we did have extended family there that were able to help us. And when I turned 6, almost 7, my oldest sister, who was in the U.S., filed for us to come to the U.S., and this is me and my younger brother, who my mom later on had after remarrying. So that's when I really started understanding what it meant to go to work and what it meant to have education and the importance of having a career. My mom constantly reminded us at this age that education was extremely important, and that we should take our schoolwork very seriously, and not let the barriers of cultural, language, and so on get in between us from achieving our goals. She said that we now had the opportunity that she never had, which was to actually attend school and not have the responsibility of having to care for the household and having all these other burdens on your shoulders, when in fact the only thing that you were responsible for was to go to school. She took on 3 jobs, being a caregiver, cleaning homes, and working at Goodwill. So this is my cousin, same one in this picture later on. She graduated from high school. This is her high school graduation ceremony. And this was one of my mom's proudest moments. She was able to see my cousin make it to this point and kind of like have a realization that, hey, like, yes, I may not have as much time to spend with my kids every day, but I know that my hard work and my efforts are paying off, because now they are able to live out their dreams that can help set them up for a better life, a life that they don't have to struggle as much as I did. So that was really important. And then so graduation became a holiday in my family. Like, every time somebody graduated, it was like a week-long celebration. And then this is my high school graduation, 6 years later. And this is my mother and my stepfather. Again, my mom's face is gleaming. She's so happy to see me graduate and walk across the stage, and see that, she did do this as a single mother for so long before remarrying. And even so, she made sure that we were always cared for, that everything that we needed was provided, and that we never really craved much in life other than the hunger for education and to pursue our dreams. So at this point in life, again, I was very much not accustomed to the working world, because most of my time I spent focusing on my education and being in school and like hanging out with my friends, and really didn't really have a job per se. But once I graduated, I started working a little bit in retail, and I started seeing, I started having to think about what I wanted to do, because now I was going off to college and I had to pick a major. And again, this was something that was very difficult for me, because I'm a first generation student. College graduate, high school graduate, and so there's so much riding on my shoulders. I really wanted to make my mom proud, and wanted to make sure that all her efforts didn't go to waste. So there was a lot on me, and so I kind of wish at this point in my life I did experiment a little bit more, but I knew that I had to listen to my mom's advice of looking for careers that were paying more. A little more pictures about my family. This is my older brother, Mustafa. He's 9 years older than me. My younger brother, Abdulli. He's 6 years younger than me. And my stepfather and my mom again at my high school graduation. This is a party that we had in my house before we attended that. It was a very big event for my mom, just to have the family gather around. And then, after I went to college, I knew that my mother really wanted me to pick one of the top careers, which were like being a lawyer, and being a doctor, just so that I could have a career that she knew was never gonna be deleted in some sense, like kind of like not. It was never going to go away. There was always going to be a need for a doctor. There's always going to be a need for a lawyer. But after my first year of undergrad, of taking bio as my major, I quickly realized that was something that I did not want to do. I also didn't really like law that much. But after taking a bio-psych course, I realized that the psychology aspect of it was something that I was very much intrigued by, and that became my major very quickly. I was very scared to tell my mom the day that I switched majors, because I never wanted to disappoint her or see that, or make her feel like I was not respecting her advice and her wishes, and that I wasn't taking her seriously. But I really wanted to let her know that this is something that I am passionate about, and I do want to have a career in. So after I switched majors, I very much got interested in the mental health field, and then I started asking my mother about how mental health is accepted within our community, and quickly learned that that still is a very taboo topic, and that many people do not want to discuss mental health within the field, and they more so would like to believe that that everything is okay, and that if they trust in God, then you should have no issues, which I definitely have a strong faith, but I know that mental health is a very serious thing and is a very real thing for a lot of individuals, and it's not a joke. But I understand within my culture, because there's because it's not really that much spoken about, the labeling of mental health is something that people are afraid of, and they don't want to ever be labeled to have anxiety, depression, bipolar, and so on, and so would rather live a life of preserving their family name more so. And learning these stories and knowing and hearing about how many people who suffered from mental illnesses were tied to their beds in Somalia, and were not really allowed to leave their homes because their families were scared that they were a threat, or to them, they were a threat to others, or they would harm others or themselves, and really didn't want people talking about them in a negative way. They kind of secluded them within the home. Hearing this was very sad and disheartening to me, and so it made me really, really connect with my career choice that much more, and want to give back to my community in whichever way I can by lessening that the way that it is perceived by many people. I went around my family members for years trying to talk about mental health and trying to get their perspectives and let them know that it's something that is very real, and that we should help our community understand that by asking for help, that doesn't make you any less of a human being. But here are two of my, this is my aunt and this is my grandmother on my father's side, and she very much so did not approve of the Western ways of mental health. She said that it's, if somebody is suffering, very much so, it's something that God destined them to have. It's an illness that God destined them to have, and that they should seek God out and pray and be thankful for the life that they have, but not take drugs that would make them worse, and not really believe into all this stuff. And this is something that I didn't agree with. Here's my sister Halima, who is the one that brought us to the U.S. Without her, I wouldn't really be here and be able to have all the opportunities that I have now that my family didn't get to, like my mother and her siblings, my uncles, my aunts back in Somalia that don't have, and my cousins back in Somalia don't have the opportunity to. Anyway, so she is a teacher, so she's also another outlier in the family. She broke the mold of wanting to go and pursue the medical field or becoming a lawyer. She fell in love with education, and she was actually one of the first people that was able to listen to me and support me in my journey of wanting to pursue mental health fields, and really supported my decision to change my major to psychology. But as I went into my junior year of undergrad, more and more family members kept asking me what I was majoring in, and I realized that some of them very much disapproved of my major. They didn't understand the benefit of it. They didn't understand the need. They didn't understand why I would choose it. They thought that it was something that was going to be a diploma that later on was going to be of no use to me, and that I should have gone for something else, that I was wasting my money pursuing this career path. And it was hard because I really had to stick to my gut feeling of like, this is what God destined me to do, because I really loved helping people and I wanted to help them understand that yes, you are dealing with something very hard right now, but that doesn't make you any less of a person, that this isn't a label that's supposed to take away from who you are. It's something to help you understand what you're going through, and I want to be able to give you the tools that are necessary for you to do better later on down the line. So that you can live a better life. You don't have to be stuck in your home. You can do the things that everybody else is able to do with support and with help. But knowing that she's a teacher and knowing that my other sister from my dad's previous marriage is also a teacher, them being part of the school systems and seeing this firsthand, they were able to advise me and able to let my mother know and let my grandmother know and let my aunts know that this is a real dilemma, and this is something that people are truly dealing with and struggling with. So that was very helpful, but still I didn't have much life experiences within mental health outside of my school, and so another thing that I wanted to do during my junior year was to broaden my worldview a little bit more. So I went to my cousin's graduation here, and wanted to understand more of what he thought about mental health. I spoke to my stepfather about it. Again, he didn't really understand, but it's just I just kept interviewing many family members, trying to understand what's going on, and how to make sense of how to help them understand why this was my career, destined career choice, path. So that was a struggle. My cousin here who's graduating chose to pursue engineering, and this was something that was highly respected in my family. Nobody had any questions for him. Nobody, made him think twice about the career that he was choosing. And so watching the enormous support that he was getting, very much so, took me back, because I was like, okay, like I'm also like going for a degree, but you're not seeing me in the same light that you're seeing him. You are thinking of my degree as being less than. So after time, I just kept pursuing it. My brother is here graduating from high school as well. And my mom told him that after seeing me struggle so much to prove to my family that my chosen career was so important to me and like why I wanted to do it, she was able to also let him know that, okay, like I was hard on your sister, and I'm gonna like step back at this point, and I understand what you guys are trying to do, and I want you to both live a happy life. That's the most important thing to me at the end of the day, and I would love for your life to be successful, but I also want it to be successful in your own way. So it was beautiful seeing that happen. At his graduation, here's my other cousin who previously graduated with a international relationship degree. So that was another really cool thing to see that she was able to do that. But during this time, I was really experimenting with different demographics and different people, and just trying to see how I could develop my passion for psychology and ways in which I can help people and give back to my community. One of the jobs that I took on was working at a retail store. These are some of my coworkers. I really, really enjoyed working at this store. It was called White House Black Market, and it wasn't much about working at the store. It was more so having a job that was about serving the community. I learned a lot about this job. I learned to have patience. I learned to have really great customer service, building rapport with people in a short amount of time, and really enjoying being around people. Like, I just truly enjoy that, and it brought watching somebody have a smile on their face because I was smiling back at them, and I was having this conversation, this upbeat conversation with them, was very much empowering. And I really thought, I really was able to see the power of positive, like having a positive attitude and a positive outlook was having on those around me. So that was a really important job that I had. And then after working there for a year, I moved on to work as a community activities manager at a like a home care facility here in Edina. I worked on this fourth floor, which is the memory care unit, with clients that had dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and it was amazing to see them go through, like, each client had different needs, and it was just amazing being able to be there and help them and serve them and be a part of their world for what little time they gave me to be a part of their world. And it was just, I really, really enjoyed being able to interact with them. And at times it was very sad to see some of my clients pass away. But it taught me the importance of life, the importance of giving back, and the importance of not, like, it's not all about always telling somebody that you're, hey, like, this is, like, your reality isn't real, or, like, come back to this world, but actually living within in their reality with them and being there to support them, because it taught me that you can do so harm to others without really knowing. This again solidified my reasoning for going into psychology and wanting to pursue a career in that. At this point, I didn't really know that I wanted to be a counselor. I just really enjoyed the field, and I knew that I wanted to do something within it. So this was really cool, working with the geriatric population. I learned a lot from that, and this is one of my coworkers on her last day who taught me so much, and I'm so blessed to have had her for the year that I worked there. And then during the end of my junior year, I did a study abroad semester in Greece, and I think this journey was very helpful because I was able to see things from a different perspective. I was able to see how other people live, another culture, the ways in which they interact with each other, the environmental factors that can affect an individual's ability to pursue a career, be set in life, the barriers that are put in place. And so it really much helped me understand that not everybody has it as easy as I did growing up, and that there are many things that people have to struggle for, and that you need to understand the individual as a whole, not just the mental health illness that they are currently dealing with. So studying abroad in Greece was very helpful. I was able to learn about the differences between individualistic cultures and collectivistic cultures and their mindsets, and it very much made me reflect on my culture and my people, and the culture that I am a part of now, the American culture, as well as the small A culture, and the Yemeni culture. then going forward, after coming back, I took on a job as a adult rehabilitative mental health worker. I was able to go to clients' homes and provide them with mental health care. I was able to talk to them about the different diagnoses that they have and how the symptoms are affecting their ability to live their lives, ways in which they can cope with certain things, like providing them with coping skills, talking to my boss, and within this job is when I really came to terms with that I wanted to become a counselor. I just really enjoy talking with people and being there to support them and listen to their stories and try to connect pieces of what they're telling me to theories that I already knew, and pointing them to resources that could be helpful later on in life. And then another thing that I did a year after that was I became a housing specialist. Working as a housing specialist taught me a lot about the life of people who are homeless and who are struggling, and how that not having proper shelter could greatly affect the symptoms that you are dealing with, the comorbidities that come along with it, and not having proper access to treatments and medications that could help lessen their symptoms. So I realized that there are so many things at play that could I can't say the word, that could increase the level of their symptoms and greatly reduce their ability to function in the real world because they are lacking key resources and skills. And then after graduating from my undergrad at Augsburg University, I realized that I really wanted to pursue my master's in counseling. I looked into many programs, and the counseling program at Bethel University really called my name. At first, I was very scared of joining this program because the university is a Christian university, and I knew that their undergrad was strictly for those that were a part of the Christian religion, and though the graduate school was more open, I was scared of how people would receive me and whether or not I would face more barriers than what I already face in the real world, being a hijabi Muslim African American woman. So I was terrified about that, but I knew that this was something that I needed to do. I knew that counseling was my calling. I knew that it was my way of being able to do what God called me to do, which is to help others, and follow some of my values of not causing harm to others, being there to help my brothers and sisters in the world. And in Islam, we view each other as brothers and sisters, and that like God called us to help our neighbor and not really allow them to suffer. I really wanted to give back. I wanted to provide an honest service. I wanted to be a voice for those that don't have a voice. I wanted to lessen the taboo within my community of seeking mental health services, and I realized that because people are ignorant about this topic. They're scared about it, and they don't really understand the gravity of it. So that made me want to pursue it even more. I myself struggled with anxiety throughout my high school career, my high school years, and my college, my undergrad, up until now, which is something that I really didn't talk to my family that much about, because again, I was scared that they would look at me differently, and I baked through my anxiety. I baked through tests. I baked through many things, and knowing that, and just I just want to let people understand that they don't have to do things in secret, that they don't have to hide what they're struggling with, because that just makes it that much more difficult. But when you do have somebody in your corner that understands what you're going through, understands how this is affecting your life, it can be very much so like eye-opening and rewarding, and just impactful in so many different ways. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a counselor that is there for people of any race, of any culture, of any background, and be there to give them the support, the knowledge, the psychological education, the skills, and just a listening ear to let them know that, hey, I'm here, I see you, and here is something that we can do to make your life a bit better to the best of our abilities, so that you don't have to suffer in silence. Systematically, I know that my life is greatly different than that of many people from my father, my father's culture that are Somali, and my mom's that are Yemeni, and the fact that they have little food to put on the table. They can work all day and only make like $1 or so of income, and so it's complaining about mental health is something that is looked down upon, and it can affect their ability to even afford, paying somebody to listen to your problems and get that treatment, and even pay for medication. Like, medications are very expensive, and so yeah, there are many things. As a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, I played many roles in my life, and my pursuit to have a career in the mental health field has helped me do a lot of self-reflecting on the ways in which I interact with people, and how I provide advice to them, and how I receive advice back from them, and wanting to change the ways in which I respond, and not being so deflective at times, because it can be scary to hear somebody tell you something that can be seen as a criticism of who you are. So it taught me to really, really pay attention to my words before speaking, and take into account how it might impact those around me. It might impact the person that I am speaking to, and putting myself in their shoes, because my life experiences are completely different than their life experiences, and the 20 minutes or a sea of them doesn't really depict who they really are and their struggles. We all wear various faces throughout the day, and it's really important to understand that, it takes time for somebody to open up to us, and we have to be patient. And that's something that I love about the counseling field, is that we can sit through the silence, and we can wait for the client to let us in, and we can reflect back to them what we're hearing from their stories, and see how they perceive it from hearing it from somebody else. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that my family has provided me, and the fact that I am blessed to be in the U.S., blessed to be a citizen, and blessed to have had the ability to go through the entire school system, in the sense of starting from elementary school and going to middle school and going to high school and going to college and going to graduate school now in the U.S., and having all these opportunities and having the financial support, and not being so burdened by having to provide everything, but knowing that my mother was there to support me throughout that. So yeah, definitely going into counseling is something that I believe is my calling, and hope to be a voice for those that are voiceless, and be a listening ear and a support system, and a individual who can provide tools for those who need services. Thank you.